And it is time for health and wellbeing. Peter Mullen again on that nice beach in Bali, but he's sent in a very suitable replacement. Leesa Picton, good afternoon to you, Leesa. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Look, you've been around the naturopath scene for a while, 25 years in experience in the health and fitness industry. You also specialise in menopause and weight loss, but today you're going to be talking with us about hay fever. I'll be listening intently, Leesa. Now, Leesa, let's take a typical scenario. It's a nice spring day, the sun is out, a little bit of a breeze, you're walking outside, and you get the sniffles, you get the sneezes. It's the onset of hay fever. It's the dreaded thing for at least 1 in 7 of us, isn't it?
It is, though. That's the latest stats. That's big stats.
That's
1 in 7 people.
A lot of people. I think I count for about 3 of those in my suburb. I seem to get it about 18 months of the year. Look, it's a dreaded thing. Can you take us through what actually is happening to give us hay fever?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just said, you get it 18 months of the year. It's a big time.
It's a lot of time. Yeah.
So, unfortunately, some people do suffer, right through the year. Other people suffer seasonally. So, we have spring coming on, pollens in the air, changes. Some people just suffer when they go on holidays. You've waited all year for your holiday. Change that environment.
That's cruel, isn't it? That's
nasty. So, so there's quite a few different things. Triggers for the hay fever, sneezing, itchy eyes, watery eyes, runny nose. So basically, like, people can take antihistamines and things like that to help stop these symptoms. I'd like to talk today about natural alternatives for hay fever.
And we certainly will go through some of those alternatives to what you possibly may be used to. So what's going on behind the scenes? You mentioned the triggers, they just get into our system. What is our body thinking is happening to cause the reactions that we know?
Yeah, our body is actually, or our immune system's going into overdrive. So when we come in contact with allergens or pathogens in the environment that our body doesn't recognise, it inflames our immune system and causes an inflammatory response through the body and gives us these sneezing, profuse mucus, trying to get rid of these antibodies from the system. So even to the point where if you're you've got your beloved pet and you love having a little bit of a cuddle and you start having your hay fever and sneezing with that reaction,
It's a bit tough being allergic to your pet, isn't it?
Your favourite little furry friend.
At least it doesn't happen with people so much. So why is it that some of us are triggered by these things and some of us are not?
Yeah, so it can just be a point of how sensitive your immune system is. It can be how well you are too. So it doesn't all have to be environmental and airborne. We can actually produce these symptoms or run our system down through stress. Stress is huge impact on most areas of our body, organs and systems in the body. And food, dietary triggers can also affect us. So how well we deal with things, how healthy we are going into the seasons, if it's seasonal, makes a big difference to how we react. Some people are just so lucky that cast iron guts.
That's the
no
6 in 7 people.
Yeah, that's it.
We hate those people. We don't really. So I guess there is a little bit of good news in there that even though something's the way it is at the moment, you can sort of do some things that change that. Like you said, yes, it's seasonal, but sometimes food and stress levels play a part. So I think there's a bit of a silver lining there that things can change.
Oh, absolutely. Getting to the root cause of your triggers, finding what your triggers are, looking at your gut health in particular, it makes a massive difference for how your body will actually deal with allergens and pathogens.
For the holidaying Peter Mullen, it's Leesa Picton. He's got a good run, hasn't he? He's in Bali at the moment, sitting on a beach somewhere, Leesa.
Oh, sunning himself, I'm sure, drinking those kombucha cocktails.
You took a while to say that, but hopefully you got it right. Peter will correct you and he'll come back with all sorts of tales next week, I'm sure. Yep. Hay fever is what we're talking about this particular week, for those of us who do suffer with it. One of the first things you recommend that we do is, if we want to stay away from the antihistamines and the traditional pharmacy route, is have a gut health assessment. So can you take us through what that may look like?
Yeah, certainly. So when we're looking at overall health, there's so much information out there now that, disease manifests in the gut. Our immune system, 80% of our immune system sits in the gut. So when we're looking at assessing our gut health, we're looking at the total digestion, really. So what we're eating, how it's digesting through the body, what we're actually absorbing through the gut, and any side effects that we might have, which could be things like irritable bowel, constipation, diarrhoea, leaky gut. those sort of things. So getting in and correcting the gut is probably one of the first places that we'd look at, especially from a naturopathic point of view.
And what are some of the things you find, particularly in terms of hay fever, at least what you find when you get in and do those assessments?
Yeah, definitely. We'll often find that there might be like underactive enzyme output in the stomach itself, so food's not being broken down properly. There can be, like I was talking about, a bit of leaky gut or irritation of the gut wall, where we don't actually absorb our nutrients properly, or we absorb the wrong things into the bloodstream, causing the inflammation throughout the body. So correcting the whole gut lining and correcting the whole digestive, what goes in, what goes out.
So once you've had a look through all of that, you're also recommending being tested for food intolerance, because there are some foods, believe it or not, Leesa, you're telling me earlier, that can actually contribute to hay fever, and one that you've just shot me down with, my beloved bananas. You're telling me, look, you suffer with hay fever, Mark, and if you just can't have the mashed banana on toast if you say you've shot me.
Oh, I know. The bananas, they're pure gold. Like they're a great little energy packet. On the run, take with you. We love our bananas, but if you do have a bit of like catarrh or congestion, mucus build up in the back of the throat, in the nose, they can actually attribute to thickening that mucus.
So that's the time to give them a miss.
Yeah, just for that period in time. Yeah.
And obviously avoiding some of the triggers that will also set you off on hay fever as well.
Yeah, so one of the big ones that we find with our patients, taking them off dairy first up is one of the massive changes that we can have. Dairy is quite high in allergens for certain people, and if you do have a bit of a trigger with that, it will again attribute to thickening that mucus. And
so what is it with the dairy and milk products that actually contribute to it? What is it that's going on when we have a glass of milk or 5 or 6 bowls of ice cream that give us those problems?
Yeah, so there's a few things in dairy. A lot of people can be lactose intolerant, which causes side effects with digestion, again, with constipation, diarrhea in particular. But there's also the proteins in dairy. So casein's quite a large protein molecule that we can actually find quite hard to break down. So that can attribute to our digestive problems as well. And just the milk itself, we're not baby cows, so it is, we do need to digest and absorb nutrients. So if we're not digesting properly, then that can just flare our
that's almost another entire discussion, isn't it?
Yes.
Milk, should we not?
Yes, yeah.
It kind of is.
In this time, if you have got mucus, I'd avoid it. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you feel we should be avoiding before we get on to some other things?
Yeah. So if you know your environmental triggers, obviously like things like taking the kids to the park, you don't want to miss out on that. If you know that's a trigger, then we can actually help naturally to desensitize the body or to prepare your body so you can enjoy these outings.
So how do we go about desensitising to some of these environmental factors? Yeah,
so with the natural therapies, I do understand that there is a place for antihistamines and pseudos and, your decongestant nasal sprays. I don't recommend any of those long term. So when we're looking at natural remedies and desensitising the system, where they might give you an immediate relief, they're not doing anything for your immune system. They're not doing anything to help balance your system out. Where your natural products, we can switch off these histamine reactions causing your runny nose and your sneezing, things like that, without having the detrimental side effects that long-term decongestant nasal sprays can have.
And Marjorie, you would like to talk to Leesa today. Good afternoon.
Hello, Leesa.
Hi, Marjorie.
I get itchy patches on my legs and arms. They start off as a small red lump, and then then they sort of grow a little bit, never more than, about the same size as your fingernail, but they're very itchy.
Okay, so often what we find with this, with any sort of skin allergies or eczema, dermatitis, again, we go back and look from a starting point with the gut, finding out obviously like what triggers. So if your environmental triggers are walking through long grass and that's causing it, trying to avoid that while we look at healing your digestive system and healing the skin. So unfortunately it is an immune response, and it does pose like an inflammatory condition throughout the system. And you'll tend to probably find that those itchy patches will keep popping up in that same place each time you have a flare-up. So again, stress can probably have a bit of an impact and be making that worse for you. Looking at, from a digestive point of view, the first thing I'd look at is your gut microbiome. So looking at probiotics, there's a specific probiotic, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which is known as your LGG strain of probiotic, and that's really specific for things like itis conditions, so these inflammatory conditions. So when it comes to eczema, asthma, sinusitis, hay fever that we're talking about today, that is probably the first area that I'd look at. Looking at dietary triggers, making sure that you don't have food intolerances that could be attributing to them flaring up and keeping them going for the long periods. And definitely, like, we look at herbal formulas. Quite passionate about my herbs. I do. I'm looking forward to talking about them. But we do have herbs that do actually have antihistamine action on the body. So using these internally and also topically, we can make them up in creams, in moisturisers. So that's probably where I'd be looking at starting for you.
Oh, good. Also, I was interested in the, you're talking about the sinus, and this is the first year I haven't had problems. But I changed over to almond milk last year.
Oh, amazing. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Glad you've made the change there this afternoon, Marjorie. And see, that's what you were talking about earlier, Leesa, removing dairy. She's put the almond milk in.
Yep.
Nice way about it.
Yeah, very nice.
I did that a few years ago, but with oat milk. And, of course, I found this flavour I like, this brand I like, and wouldn't you know it, they discontinued it.
Oh, always the way.
It is always the way. Look, back on Hayfever for a quick moment. Now, there are some herbal alternatives you'd like to mention quickly on this as well? Yeah,
like I was saying, certain strains of probiotics, there's a lot of research in probiotics and gut microbiome these days. So getting the right probiotic for your condition would be one of the first protocols. Then also things like, our good old vitamin C. I mean, it's amazing. So at some stages throughout the year when you do have a bit of a flare-up, you can increase your vitamin C intake to body tolerance, and that actually works again as a natural antihistamine, stopping that histamine reaction.
So some great advice there, and a few things that we can do to try and turn it all around. And even Marjorie chimed in with the almond milk as well.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely.
Thank you, Leesa. Just very quickly, some next talks that are coming up for Mullen Health.
Okay, so we do have in September our Healthy Habits Challenge information talk, so that'll be out at Charlestown, and that the Healthy Habits, that is coming up in September, is something that everyone can get on board with. We do it every year. It's an amazing event, and you just jump online, download the booklet. Lots of information. So we've got information on food prepping and menus, meal foods. So
it sounds very nice. Look at all the details at mullenhealth.com.au. And of course, next week, Peter will be back talking about the benefits of green tea for weight loss and probably his trip to Bali as well. Leesa, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about Hayfever with us this afternoon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You got through it? You didn't seem too nervous?
No, it seemed pretty cool.
Just a little bit? Oh, we might bump Peter and have you back to NURFM.com.